Hello, this is Mr. coming at you with another Wargaming adventure video. In this video, we're going to be talking about tufts. So these are like little grass bushes or little weeds or small little bushes that you can use for model railroading. But you can also, because I'm a miniature wargamer, you can actually use them on your miniature figures. I tend to reserve the tufts for the general models because they are the ones that you're going to get your hands on the most, and you're going to actually look down at the generals and you want to make those little bases that they're on more like a diorama. Now I've come across something that I want to share with you guys. I had been using JTT tufts. I used all these tufts for my Napoleonics, and I was happy with these. This pack here has about 52 tufts in it for $9.99, and I said that's a pretty good price, you know. That's about 20 cents per little tuft, and all you do is peel it off and glue it on your model, right? And they come in a variety of different colors here, like some light tan, some green, and I was happy with these until I found Army Painter tufts. The Army Painter tufts, you get 77 of them. They look very nice. They look very good based on just what I can see in the package. We're going to go ahead and use these on my models today. And I have two different colors because I wanted to experiment on this. I've got the Lowland Scrubs tuft, and then I also have the Winter tufts, and you can kind of see that they're just slightly different in tone, right? You got like a bright green and then a dark green. And I'm going to use both of these on these guys today. You're going to get a chance to see these. But the big kicker is, remember, this was 52 tufts for $10. These are 77 tufts for $5. I had always thought that Army Painter was overpriced, specifically their dip, their like strong tone or whatever. I always thought it was overpriced. I've never used it. I use polyurethane dip. But when it comes to their tufts, it's like you get almost 1.5 times as much for half price. If I was to add these together, that's like 3 times as much for the same price. 3 times as much for the same price. I'm not going to buy these in. Plain and simple. It's going to be Army Painter all the way. All right, so now let's pull the camera up. Let's take a really close look at these models, and let me go ahead and apply some glue and some tufts to these so you can see how it changes them. All right, so I brought in a couple of additional figures as well. We went ahead and I brought in a ammo cart, and you can see that there's no tufts or anything. It's just rocks and flock. Same thing with my artillery crew. Right here we have rocks and flock, right? And then we've got our 3 generals. I got our Washington base right here, and then I've got my Fraser and a couple other generals right there. All right, so let's go ahead and show you exactly how I'm going to do this. We pop these things open. They just pretty much open like any other blister pack that you've seen anywhere else before, you know, and they come on this little flexible, looks like wax paper. I'm going to do both of them at the same time. All right, and again, you can see the difference in the color and the quality and what have you on them. So now what I do is I just kind of randomly decide, where do I want to put a tuft? I want to put a tuft right there. So I put a drop of glue right there. I locate the tuft that I want to add. I want to add this one. I peel it off. It has kind of a gluey bottom that holds all the grass together, and that's what you press into your glue and just let it sit there for a minute. I just like to use a little toothpick, and I press down on the middle and press it into the glue. You see what happens? Maybe you don't because my hands are in the way. the tuff contracted against the toothpick, so it actually formed up a little bit. So now let me do the same thing with a dark tuff. I'm going to put one right here. Put a nice drop of glue. I find the tuff that I want to use, which I want to use this one. They peel off very easily, right? And then what I do is I sit it on top of the glue, let the glue kind of grab it. Now I'm going to have to try to do this with my left hand. I'm not a left-handed person, so bear with me. And then I press down on the tuff into the glue. Now the glue is going to dry. It's going, first of all, the PVA is going to shrink, but it's also going to dry clear, so that's going to disappear. You're not going to see that at all. Okay, and then I'll flip it over, and I will put a drop maybe right here, close to the edge of the dooley thingamajigger. And then I'm going to grab a smaller tuff. This is one of the smaller ones. Put it right there. I'm going to use my toothpick to kind of press down on it in the center. And what it's doing is it's making those little grass leaves or little grass stems kind of contract, because when you push down on it, it brings it in like that. Now if you don't want it in like this, okay, I know they blend in too good, you can't really see that, right? But if you don't want it like that, I'll show you on the next one. I'm going to put a tuff up here in the front, and I'm going to use a fairly large one from here. These are in different sizes. It says you get 12 giant ones, 35 middle ones, and 30 tiny ones. Okay, so now to put the tuff on there, we still do the press from the center just to get it to go in, but then I'll take my toothpick and I'll kind of flatten it down if I want the tuff to look like it's like a flat, bushy type. And I might do the same back here. And you can see that is almost already dry, almost already invisible. Okay, let's set that off to the side while I do the rest, and you can kind of follow along with me. And this is all random. I'm not really thinking about where I'm putting it, but I do want to put them like close to the rocks. And then I also want to put one, I don't know where I want to put one, maybe behind this guy. All right, and I want to do a mixture of large, small, and different colors. Press that in. And you can't go wrong, no matter how it sticks up. It's all bush, you know, you can't control the way a bush grows. So that's what they're, even if they go to the left, they go to the right, it doesn't matter because it's natural. And anything natural is going to be random. Okay. Now this tuff I want to kind of flatten out a little bit. Okay, we're going to keep driving on, specifically with the generals. I'm going to put one right here in the dirt, not on the grass. And I'm going to put one in the dirt over here next to the rocks. Maybe Maybe one in between the two. It's possible. Maybe one over here by the generals. You notice I just put 4 on this guy. One of them is going to be large. Because, you know, it's Washington and all. And one's going to be kind of a mid-range small. Put that up here in front. In the rocks. Right, I should say on the dirt. It's not even near the rocks. And then I'm going to go with this other color. Now this is called a winter tuff, but that's not why I got it. I didn't get it because it was called winter. I got it because it was an off shade. It wasn't as bright green as these tufts, even though those tufts look really nice. Okay, this stuff is giving me trouble. What just happened? Oh, it rolled. Okay. No problem. I figured it out. You can also place tufts on building bases or even vehicle. If you have vehicles mounted on bases, like my old Command Decision vehicles were all mounted on their own little bases. You can mount them on there. You can mount them on terrain pieces, because I consider these bases to be basically little miniature dioramas, you know. All right, so let's let these guys dry a little bit while I do these two. Now these generals, they're only going to get 1 tuff each. I'm going to put one probably on the rocks right there. Okay. One of them is going to get the lowland. We'll kind of flatten it out just a little bit. And then the other one will get a little bit of the winter tuff. All right, so we got the tufts on there. We have some Elmers that still looks like it's white. So we're going to have to let that Elmer's dry a little bit on these models. And then what we'll do is I'll come right back and we'll take a look at the finished product.
All right, we are back. I went ahead and grabbed a few additional model types, and I also put some tufts on some units and this wagon here. I put quite a bit of tufts on this. Let's go ahead and just take a look at these and see exactly how they look. You can see how the tufts give it a different dimension to the figure. And then here I even did a T-Rex that I was using for, you know, a fantasy game. Throw a couple of tufts on there, just adds a little extra. Here's another ammo cart, you know, with a couple of tufts on the side. Different types of tufts, gives it a variety. Here's the cannon, you know, with the 3 tufts. All right, and then here is Washington. You can see how that just adds a little extra dimension. I think I put 4 tufts on there. And then these are the 2 British generals that I did. Just put 1 tuff on each, just enough to give it that little extra effort. I strongly recommend tufts. Tufts really add a different dimension to the figures. And these Army Painter tufts are really durable and they look very good. Their color is very natural and they look very realistic in my opinion. Now I grabbed some units out here and I put a tuft on them just so you can kind of see how it mixes up with like the rank and file troops as well. I did a couple of British and a couple of Continentals. Not always in the center in the middle. sometimes a little bit off to the side or what have you, but that one just happens to be center middle. I even did it on a cavalry. I also used it to cover a spot. There was a little bit of white plaster shining through that didn't get any flock, and by putting the tuft there, I was able to cover it. And like he's got a tuft off to the side there. And then tuft in the middle. And you could do it not just to the command stands. I just thought I would do it to the command stands. You could do it to all the, you want to do it to all the bases, because a good based figure will make your figure's paint job look a lot better. All right, guys, thanks for coming out and checking out this video about tufts, and I'll catch you next time.